Before Riot releases a skin line, they'll often use Yasuo and Lux as a base concept, not just because they're popular and sell a lot, but because they check off two super important boxes. Yasuo always gets the cool design, and Lux gets a cuter design. However, as we've seen, this doesn't mean they're guaranteed to be a part of the skin line. The skins we just saw were actually used as a base for the Broken Covenant, Misfortune, and Riven skins. So let's talk about some concepts that might get released in the future. So in these concepts, we have the skin from the Fairy Court line, where only Lux ended up with a somewhat different version than the original concept. But that doesn't mean Yasuo won't get a skin from this theme in the future. In that concept, he's wearing Beetle-style armor, kind of like a soldier. That could very well become something Riot releases down the line. Another skin line where both showed up, but ended up being changed a lot and for different games, we have the Soul Fighter inspired skins. And Yasuo's skin in that line is actually a legendary skin in Wild Rift. The Soul Fighter Lux skin even had several different versions of this line. One version had a wicked fighting witch vibe, kind of reminded me of the characters from Skullgirls. But in the end, the final look for Lux's Soul Fighter ended up more like her earliest outfit in the game, using the same color palette as her first skin. This skin line actually did make it into League, but only for other champions. This line is called Masked Justice, and it features skins for Lucian, Senna, and Yone. The Masked Justice Yone skin even references Yasuo. The lore blurb for Yone's skin says Yasuo is gone, so basically dead, which kind of implies there's room for a Yasuo Masked Justice skin in the future. Given that, maybe Riot will even create a Kaiju style line to contrast it, or just make a different Yasuo skin under the same theme to avoid repeating. Now let's get into some skins that haven't even hit League yet. First up, the most controversial skins based on a furry concept. And the lore for these skins, humanity is extinct, and animals have taken over the new wild world, using raw elemental magic to spark new conflicts over territory. It's a concept of a futuristic wild Runeterra, with anthropomorphic animal characters. Kind of reminds me of Horizon Zero Dawn, even though these are probably the hardest skins to ever come to League. Because even as legendary skins, it would be super difficult to adapt them and keep champions visually readable. Riot would need to use champions that are already animals, like maybe Renekton, Azir, Neferi, or characters like that. Some people say those skins ended up getting turned into the Anima Squad skins, because the Battle Wolf Yasuo could be a reimagining of that original concept. In the lore for the Anima Squad skins, there's also this notion of humanity being at risk of extinction, but it's totally possible that those are two separate concepts. And before we get to the next skin line, I just want to mention, don't forget to subscribe, drop a like on the video, and maybe consider becoming a member to get access to a bunch of cool perks. And while you're down there, don't forget to click the link to go to our store. There's a lot of really cool designs available and cool merch, so go check it out. This one is one of the wildest concepts Riot has ever pushed. In that lore, we have a futuristic Runeterra where each skin depicts powerful warriors in tune with a unique animal spirit. As big cities merge with the natural world, humans and nature become intertwined as symbiotic, thriving guardians. The vibe for the skin is champions wearing real-world style clothes, like modern everyday outfits, but mixed with spiritual magic and animal spirits tied into them. In that version, Lux would have a staff with dragonflies. Yasuo would have a sword surrounded by koi fish. The aesthetic of those skins feels super hipster, like early 2000s and maybe early 2010s street fashion. And I'll admit, I'd love to see what Riot could do with those concepts in the future. They could totally make skins of that kind for many champions. Blending real world vibes with those spiritual concepts could be a lot of cool stuff. Another skin line idea has a vibe like a cosmic, fantastical ghost opera mixed with a gala ball. Super glamorous and grand. The lore says, the greatest musical minds from different dimensions gather for one night to create something unique, unlike anything ever done. Immense operas and celestial compositions combine into melodies so beautiful, even gods would be moved. So in those skins, champions would basically be celestial musicians. This skin line screams Jhin, with him being perfect for a legendary skin with this theme. Think of something like his Maestro skin from Legends of Runeterra, but on a cosmic scale. Honestly, it would be way better than that half-baked Mythmaker skin he got. This would hit so much harder. Then there's this skin line that's like a little remake slash reimagining of those retro futuristic, souped up streetcars vibes in Piltover. You know, similar to skins for characters like Heimerdinger, Corky, and Blitz from that kind of aesthetic. The style blends vintage 50s slash 60s retro with futuristic design. Champions would be like car mechanics or street racers. Any champion that uses vehicles could fit nicely into this style. Imagine a tuned up rumble mech, or even Hecarim auto-attuning himself. The lore for these skins says once a year, the youth of Piltover and Zon throw an underground race, with a pretty hefty prize at stake. It's the biggest party across both cities, a week-long race from the bottom of the Undercity up to the top of Piltover, with racers and spectators wearing their best outfits and gear while they race, bet, and dive into Zon's raw energy, normally seen as taboo. As for the vehicles, if you can drive to the track, you can race to the top. Even the roughest scrap heaps can enter. This skin line could allow a ton of champs, besides Hecarim, to get cool rides. Maybe even champs like Scion or Rammus could get interesting designs under this concept. These skins are some of the most okay ones looks-wise, because they're basically just the champions wearing some random medieval armor with a few cute details. It honestly kind of looks like the Alliance from Warcraft. The story behind these skins is this. The tales and short stories are preserved in the Eternal Tapestry, a magical artifact maintained by a mystical goddess. Those who prove their worth in a grand tournament of knights and chivalry get immortalized, their crest added to their ever-growing pattern of an eternal tapestry. Basically, there's this eternal tapestry that gets taken care of, and possibly woven by a goddess. It could be Lux or even another champion like Talia. It could finally be her first legendary skin for a change, and there would also be knights who protect it. Overall, it could be a broad theme for a bunch of champions, even though Lux's design in this skin reminds me a lot of the Battle Queen skins. This next one is one of the coolest concepts. Basically, in the lore of these skins, champions use a new technology that lets doctors shrink themselves down to treat their patients from the inside out. Kinda like that anime Cells at Work. Riot could do a lot with this, maybe focusing on support champions like Soraka or Nami, or even champions like Yumi, who literally jumps inside the other champions as a part of her kit, or Lulu, who's tiny by nature. And their enemies could be germs or diseases, like some champions that applies poison, or even Teemo or Zyra, or skins that just look like something similar, like Vel'Koz or Kog'Maw. These skins, called Elf Valley, remind me a lot of Zelda Wind Waker, and the lore says this. In a small, peaceful valley, there's this sunlit village where gardeners live in harmony with forest creatures, enchanted mushrooms, and magical gardens full of blooming plants. The aesthetic goes for a more cartoon vibe for the champions. Yasuo's sword becomes a flaming chili pepper, and Lux's staff is a flower branch. There's not much to say about these skins. They're pretty unlikely to ever see the light of day because they're very similar to the Fairy Court skins, just a more comedic twist. The next skin concept could easily become some kind of prestige skin in the future, where the champions would be ice skaters. It would be kind of similar to Zeri's recent Winterbless skin, since she already has ice skates because she basically skates with her default skin. But for Yasuo and Lux, I don't think this theme would be super relevant. The lore for these skins says, from every corner of the world, athletes gather to compete in the ultimate sport of grace, beauty, and martial elegance, ice skating, with weapons in hand and blades on their feet. Each skater has to give everything they've got to prove their worth to the mysterious and powerful president, who rules over the rink with an iron fist. Riot could totally make some prestige skins based on this ice skating theme, because it's naturally very performative and classy, and it fits really well with the kind of prestige skins they've been releasing lately. These skins don't have official names, but they're heavily inspired by 60s, 70s spy aesthetic, kind of like Spy X Family, with colorful outfits and gadgets that disguise as everyday objects. A champion who'd fit this vibe really well could be Aphelios, since he already works with a variety of weapons. You could make each one look like a different disguised gadget, and a loon could be the intelligence agent whispering instructions to him, kinda like the Chloe and Jack Bauer vibe from 24 Hours. That would make an amazing legendary skin for him, with each of his weapons disguised differently. The lore of this concept could go like this. Agents from the agency fight agents from the department, and then endless espionage war full of intrigue, all vying for the chance to shape peace according to their mysterious leader's wishes. This lore is basically a very classic, super generic spy agency versus agency war, full of espionage tropes, but that's what gives it charm. Then there's this other idea. We only have images so far, no full lore, but it shows Yasuo and Lux with a look that kinda resembles those Valentine style skins from another Riot game, because of their outfits and colors. Overall, these skins seem to lean toward a retro-futuristic aesthetic, with multicolored magic mirrors and prisms. Their clothes look shiny and reflective, really flashy. It reminds me a lot of that arcade Hecarim aesthetic. There's also this concept with a post-apocalyptic vibe. Reminds me of that movie The Electric State on Netflix. But it could also be inspired by Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome, focusing heavily on electricity in a gritty futuristic wasteland. The name Arena of Hope comes up, which hints that maybe the dome inspiration is real for this skin line. In another skin line idea, champions use magic through sewing tools and fabric. For example, a skin for Gwen in this universe could be a full ragdoll, 100% made of thread and cloth. It'd be the same vibe as those papercraft skins that other champions like Nunu and Willump or Nivea got. Now, I'm gonna merge two skin lines into one concept, because they're pretty similar. The skins Dreamcatchers and Guardians of Dreams. Those two styles could work really well as a versus event, kind of like Light versus Darkness and Missionaries, but this time with a dream theme. One side could be entities roaming through dreams, and the other could be those living inside the dream itself. But yeah, that's basically it. See you in the next video.